Good morning. Today, before we begin our flow, I would like to talk a little bit about chair pose. Now, when I first started doing yoga, chair pose seemed very, very difficult to me. It's hard on the leg muscles, they start to burn, and you start to shake a little bit sometimes. But actually, that's really good for you. It means your muscles are working really hard, and it's totally fine. Now, if it ever becomes too uncomfortable, of course, you can always come out of the pose. Well, let's discuss how to properly come into chair and some of the options that we take while we're in chair pose. So, to start coming into chair, you're going to bring either your big toes to touch with a little space between the heels, or you can choose to bring your feet parallel to each other on two different train tracks, kind of right below the hips. Depending on what your body shape is like and where your strength is, you're going to find one of those a little bit more comfortable than the other. And they're both totally acceptable ways to have your feet placed in chair pose. On an inhale, you lift your hands up overhead. And as you breathe out, bend the knees and sit down in this imaginary chair. Now, it's almost impossible to bring those upper legs, your thighs, parallel to the ground as you sit down. But you want to imagine that you're reaching in that direction. And you also want to have almost a 90-degree angle, or again, reaching in that direction as close as you can comfortably come within your own abilities. A 90-degree angle in the hips in relation to those thighs. So let me show you again from the side. Inhale, lifting the hands up. Exhale, sitting back down into the chair. Try to find a 90-degree angle here. So you're going to be leaning forward just a little bit. And that's because you need to lean forward a little in order to keep your balance there, to distribute the weight evenly. So your body kind of goes up, the lower legs go a little bit up, and then back with the thighs, and then sort of forward and up again with the body. You want to imagine that you're stretching the crown of the head up towards the sky so you can have a little bit of a bend here in the back. You don't need to keep your back perfectly straight. Lift the back up and pull the shoulder blades down the back, just like we do in downward facing dog. You want to keep the shoulders out of the ears. Another thing you want to be careful of in chair pose is keeping the weight in the heels. Sometimes we have a tendency to lean forward onto the toes. So one way that we can do that is by wiggling the toes once you come into chair and feel that weight being pushed back onto the heels there. Now there's a couple different flows I like to do with chair pose. The first is a chair twist. So you come into your chair pose, take a deep breath in as you lengthen the spine, and on an exhale, twist to one side, tucking the elbow outside of the knee, and then pushing the hands together to come even deeper into the twist. Here, it's okay to bring the gaze up towards the ceiling, but if that feels uncomfortable, you can just keep the gaze out to the side. And the other thing I really like to do in chair pose, this is a nice one to get a little bit of cardio into your workout, is the chair plane. So that's a movement where you're in chair pose, take a deep breath in, and on your exhale, sweeping the hands back, dropping the chest down to the knees, and lifting the heels up off the ground. If it feels too difficult, if you feels like you're going to fall over, lifting the heels up, you can keep the heels on the ground entirely and just practice the upper body movement there until you feel comfortable and confident enough to start to lift the heels up off the ground. Also, you don't have to lift the heels a whole lot. You can lift them just a tiny little bit to start. And as you become more adept at coming into this pose, you can start to lift them higher and higher as you go along. So let me just show you that whole thing. Take a deep breath in, and on your exhale, sweep the hands back, drop the chest down to the knees, and try to lift the heels up a tiny bit, or maybe you can lift them a whole lot. As we flow With the breath, you come back up, dropping the heels down on your inhale and exhale, sweeping the hands back, lifting the heels up, bringing the chest down to the knees, relaxing the head and neck down. So we'll try a couple of those different modifications today as we go through our flow. Just see what feels right to you. Remember, you don't ever need to come into the full version of the pose. You can just start with those first couple little steps and find your comfort zone as you work towards increasing your abilities. So let's start today in child's pose. Bring the toes together. Find a kneeling position. Make sure your big toes aren't overlapping so you don't cut off any circulation. You can have your knees together or with some space between them. Inhale, lifting the hands up overhead. Exhale, folding forward, hinging from the hips. Stretch your hands out in front of you. Find your edge and relax your forehead down towards the ground. Let your elbows come to rest on the mat. Close your eyes. Start to bring awareness into your body. At first, just notice how your skin is feeling today. Our skin is the outermost boundary of our body. It's what gives us the sense of self. Inside of the skin is the self, and everything outside is not the self. Just focus on yourself right now, everything inside of the skin. Notice how the mat feels underneath your fingers, your knees, and your feet. Notice the temperature of the air around you. Maybe there's a little breeze, which is making your skin stimulated. Start to call attention to your breath here. Start to deepen and lengthen each breath. Feel your back rising and falling with each breath. Your lungs expanding and contracting, pushing your ribs out as you breathe in. A gentle release of pressure as you breathe out. Begin to find your yoga breath. The nice loud breath you can hear inside of your head, in the back of the throat. If you seal your lips and constrict your throat just a little bit, focus on that sound of your breath, the sound of the ocean moving in and out. And let it fill your mind completely, clearing away all other thoughts, bringing you fully present into your body, here and now, in this moment, between the four corners of the mat. Let's do our body scan. From the tips of the fingers, work your way through your hands, into your wrists and elbows, up to the shoulders, to the back of the neck, through all the facial muscles, your forehead, between your eyes, your jaw, and then down through the back, into your hips, And finally through the legs, knees, ankles, and toes. As you go through each body part, just make a mental note of how you're feeling today. Notice anything that feels off or sore, and remind yourself of any injuries you have, old or new, anything that might affect your ability to come into a pose today. Remember as we go through our practice that you can always take a break or modify any pose in a way that's right for you, just making this practice your own. Take a few more deep, full breaths here, just being inside of your body. On your next breath in, lift your chest up, coming to your hands and knees tabletop. And adjust so that your wrists come right below the shoulders and the knees come right below the hips. Start to move through cat cow with the breath. As you breathe in, tilt your pelvis up, roll your shoulders back, bring your gaze up or forward. On your exhales, rounding out through the spine, push your back up towards the ceiling, one vertebrae at a time. Relax your head and neck down and bring your gaze through the knees. Keep moving just like that with your breath. Try to lengthen your breath, lengthening the motion to match the breath. Come back to a neutral spine. Let's come in to thread the needle. Lift your right arm high. Take a deep breath in, stacking the shoulders. Stretch the fingers up. Exhale, send your right arm through underneath the left. Come to rest on the right shoulder and the right cheek. With your left hand, you can crawl your fingertips forward and get a nice stretch through that left arm. Wrap your left hand back up and around towards the right hip for a nice little twist. Or you can leave your hand where it was and release your left elbow back down to the mat. If you want a little extra challenge here, lift your left foot high. Push through the heel and flex the toes. See how high you can get that leg. It's reaching towards being perpendicular to the ground, but it doesn't need to come all the way there. Just reaching in that direction. Take one more big breath in with the leg up. As you breathe out, drop your left knee back down to the mat. Bring your left hand right next to your face. Unwind on a breath in, pushing through the left hand. Lift your right arm high. Give your wrist a couple turns. And set your right hand back down on the mat. Switching sides. Inhale, left arm comes up. Big breath in. Bringing the arms perpendicular to the floor. Exhale, send the left arm through underneath the right and come to rest on the left shoulder and the left cheek. Same options with the right arm. You can curl your fingertips forward and get a nice stretch through that arm. Wrap your right hand back up and behind, reaching towards the left hip for a little twist. Or leave your right hand where it was on the mat and drop the elbow down. For that extra challenge, lift your right foot high. Push through the heel and flex the toes. If you ever feel wobbly here, just bring your right elbow down to the mat and that will help you stabilize. Take one more big breath in with your leg up. As you breathe out, release your right knee back down to the mat. Bring the right hand right next to the face. Unwind, breathing in, pushing through the right hand. Lift your left arm high. Give your wrist a couple turns. And set your left hand back down on the mat. Downward facing dog. Tuck your toes under. Lift up your hips. So this is our first down dog of the day. Take a moment here to settle in. Find a nice, comfortable down dog position. You can play around with the placement of the feet and the hands. They should both be about hip width distance apart. Fingers are open nice and wide. Gripping the mat. You can have a little micro bend in those knuckles. Heels reaching towards the floor. Shoulder blades stretching down the back. Towards the hips, out of the ears. Make sure you're not overextending the shoulders. And you can bend one knee and then the other to get the blood flowing through the legs and the hips. Let's do 3 sun salutations with the breath. Bend your knees, look forward to your hands, take a big breath in. Exhale, hop or step right between the hands, forward fold. Half lift as you breathe in, bringing the torso parallel to the ground. Forward fold on your exhale, relaxing the upper body down. Inhale, rising up to standing, bend the knees, unroll your spine one vertebrae at a time. Nice and slow, float your hands up overhead. Exhale, hands together in front of the heart. Side stretch. Inhale, hands up. Interlace your fingers, pointers up. Exhale, stretching down towards the right. Back up to center as you breathe in. And down to the left as you breathe out. Inhale to center. Standing back bend on your exhale. Come straight back up, breathing in. Exhale, fold forward, hinge from your hips. Keep the spine nice and long as you go down. Half lift, breathing in. Bring the shoulders down the back, opening up the chest. Exhale, double dip, chaturanga. Plant your hands, hop or step back to your high plank, upper push up. Lower down halfway. Try to bring the soles of the feet parallel to the wall behind you as you're lowering down. Up dog or cobra on a breath in, coming into the tops of the feet. Exhale, roll over your toes, lift your hips up to downward facing dog. On our second sun salutation, we're going to start our side stretch to the left first. Bend your knees, look forward to your hands, take a big breath in. Exhale, hop or step to the front of the mat, forward fold. Half lift, breathing in, bring the hands to shins or float them over the ground. Fold forward as you breathe out. You can always have a block here under your hands if you like. Inhale, rising up to standing, nice and slow, bend the knees. Unroll the spine, nice and slow. Bring your hands up overhead. Exhale, hands together in front of the heart. Side stretch to the left first. Inhale, hands up. Interlace the fingers, pointers up. Exhale, stretching down towards the left. Up to center, breathing in. And to the right as you breathe out. Inhale to center. Exhale, standing back bend, cactus the arms, or bring your hands down to your back pockets to support the lower back. Come straight back up on a breath in. Fold forward as you breathe out. Nice long spine. Take your whole exhale to come down. Half lift breathing in. Double dip chaturanga. Breathing out. As you lower down, keep your elbows right next to the rib cage, not pointing out to the side. Up dog or cobra on a breath in. If your legs are on the ground, keep a little bend in the elbows. Exhale, tuck the toes, lift the hips, downward facing dog. One last sun salutation. Straight up and down, just moving with the breath. Bend your knees, lift your hands, big breath in. Exhale right between the hands, forward fold. Lift halfway up as you breathe in. Relax the upper body down on your breath out. Inhale all the way up to standing. Take your time. Bring your hands up overhead. Exhale, hands together in front of the heart. And straight back down now. Inhale, hands high. Exhale, diving forward. Nice long spine going down. Half breathing in. Double dip chaturanga. Breathing out. Don't go below your elbows as you're lowering down halfway. Up dog or cobra on your breath in. And downward facing dog. Exhale. Lift the right foot high. Take a deep breath in. Exhale, bring the knee to the nose, shoulders right over the wrists. Foot goes back up, breathing in. Exhale, tap the right knee to the right elbow. Inhale, sending your right heel high. Exhale, cross it over, tap it to the left elbow. Foot goes straight back up on a breath in. And step your foot through between your hands as you breathe out. Rising up on an inhale, find your way to crescent lunge. Both toes are pointing straight forward. Feet are on two different train tracks here. Back heel's lifted, front knee, nice deep bend in it. Hands are up, turn the pinkies in, keep the shoulders sliding down the back. We're gonna flow with our breath here. Take a deep breath in. Exhale, knee dip. Bend the left knee down towards the ground. Cactus the arms, gentle back bend if you like. Back up to crescent lunge, breathing in. Open arm twist towards the right as you breathe out. Let's do those two poses two more times. Inhale, crescent lunge. Exhale, dipping the left knee down. It can be a big dip or just a little one. Back up, breathing in. And open arm twist to the right as you breathe out. Last one, just go with your breath at your own pace. Come back to crescent lunge on a breath in. And open out to warrior two on your breath out. Pivot your back foot down, dropping the heel down on the mat. Keep that nice deep bend in the front knee, right over the front ankle. Check on your back hand, make sure it's nice and high. And bring the gaze right over the front middle finger. Let's do our yoga jumping jacks here. 5 of them with the breath at your own pace. Inhale, straighten out the front knee, bring your hands up overhead. Exhale, slowly sinking back down to warrior two. 4 more. Let your breath be your guide. 3, try to stretch your motion out. Lengthening the breath, tying the breath to the movement. 2. And last one. Triangle pose, straighten out the front knee. Scoot your back foot just a little bit closer to the front foot, keeping the feet perpendicular to each other. Send your hips toward the back of the mat. Stretch your right arm forward. Take a deep breath in, lengthening the spine. Exhale, make a quarter turn down with the arms, bringing the arms perpendicular to the floor. Check in with your back, left hip here. Make sure it's still open towards the side, not folding over towards the ground. If it's okay on your neck, you can bring your gaze up towards your upper hand. On your next inhale, bend your front knee, rise back up to warrior two. Exhale, cartwheel the hands down to frame the front foot. Send your right heel high on a breath in. Double dip chaturanga, breathing out. You can keep that back foot up if you like as you lower down. Up dog or cobra on a breath in, coming onto the tops of the feet. Exhale, roll over the toes, lift the hips up to downward facing dog. Left side, lifting the left heel high. Take a deep breath in. Exhale, bring the knee to the nose, shoulders right over the wrists. Foot goes back up on a breath in. Exhale, tap your left knee to your left elbow. Inhale, sending your left heel high. Exhale, cross it over, tap it to the right elbow. Foot goes straight back up, breathing in. And step your left foot through between your hands as you breathe out, rising up on an inhale to crescent lunge. Both toes pointing straight forward, back heel lifted, front knee nice and bent. Feel your shoulders sliding back, down the back, keeping those pinkies turned in. And let's do our flow here. Take a deep breath in. As you breathe out, dip your right knee towards the ground, cactus your arms, gentle back bend if you like. Inhale back to crescent lunge. Exhale, open arm twist towards the left. 2 more times with the breath. Inhale to crescent lunge. Exhale, knee dip. You can have a tiny little dip or a really big one. Back up to crescent lunge, breathing in. Open arm twist towards the left as you breathe out. Last one, go with the breath. Just those 2 poses at your own pace. Come back up to crescent lunge on a breath in. And open out to warrior two as you breathe out. You might want to widen the stance here. My feet always want to go a little bit wider. From crescent lunge or warrior one to warrior two. Scoot the toes forward a little bit. Make sure that front knee's still right over the ankle. Hands are stretching straight forward and back. Feet are perpendicular to each other. And bring the gaze over the front middle finger. Again, 5 yoga jumping jacks with the breath. Inhale, straighten out the front knee. Bring your hands up overhead. Exhale, slowly sinking back down to warrior two. 4 more. Let your breath be your guide. 3. You don't have to stay with me. I'm just counting so you know where I am. 2. And last one. Triangle pose, straighten out the front knee. Scoot the back foot just a little bit closer. Send your hips back, stretching the left arm forward, lengthening the spine. Take a big breath in. Exhale, make the quarter turn down with the arms. If you like here, you can have a block underneath your left hand on either side of the leg, or just rest that hand against the front leg. If it's okay on your neck, you can bring your gaze up towards your upper hand and check in with the right hip. Make sure it's not folding forward towards the ground. Imagine that your whole body is between 2 walls that are very close together. On your next inhale, bend your front knee, rise back up to warrior two. Exhale, cartwheeling the hands down. Frame the front foot. Left heel goes high as you breathe in. Double dip chaturanga, breathing out. Keep the foot up or drop it down. Drop the knees down if you like. Up, dog or cobra. Drop your foot down. Come onto the tops of both feet. Exhale, roll over your toes. Lift up your hips to downward facing dog. Let's take a little rest here. Make your way into child's pose. Drop the knees down, untuck the toes. Push your hips back to your heels. Relax your forehead down. Let your elbows come to rest on the mat. If you like, you can wrap your hands back towards your feet with your palms facing up. Just close your eyes. Reconnect with your breath. Once again, bring your awareness to your breath. Feel the breath moving through the body. Notice all the places that shift as you inhale and exhale. Feel your breath slowing down, taking a little rest. Come into puppy pose. Crawl the fingertips forward, lifting the hips up. Hips can come right above the knees or just behind. Reach your chin or chest down towards the mat. Feel a nice gentle back bend here, stretching the belly out. On your next inhale, bring your hands back, lifting up your chest. Make your way to hands and knees, tabletop. Exhale, tuck the toes under, lift the hips up to downward facing dog. Bend your knees, look forward to your hands. Take a deep breath in. Exhale, hop or step right between the hands, forward fold. Lift, breathing in. Forward fold to breathe out. Inhale, rising up to standing, bending the knees, rolling the spine up one vertebrae at a time. Float your hands overhead. Exhale, hands together in front of the heart. Chair pose. We'll start just by holding our chair pose. Now, sometimes I feel like holding chair pose is the hardest one. So if you want to come out before I do, that's totally okay. Bring your toes together to touch with some space between the heels, or set your feet up on two different train tracks. Toes pointing straight forward, right underneath the hips. Inhale, lifting your hands up overhead. Exhale, sit back into your chair. Push your hips down and back. Feel the shoulders sliding down the back. Lift up on the spine. Feel the crown of the head stretching up towards the sky. Wiggle your toes and make sure most of the weight's in your heels. And then settle into the chair. Feel your legs nice and strong. They might start shaking. That just means your legs are working nice and hard. We'll stay for a couple more breaths here. Take one more deep breath in. Exhale, release into a forward fold, relaxing the upper body down. Half lift as you breathe in. Forward fold, breathing out. Release your hands down to the ground. Weight comes to the fingers. Heel toe your feet out about hip width distance apart, unless they're already open. You can just keep them there if you already have them apart. And come into ragdoll. Grab for opposite elbows. You can bend one knee and then the other. Just find a little swaying motion. Imagine you feel all the kinks falling out of the spine, through the top of the head, into the ground.
Release your hands back down to the mat. Weight comes to the fingers. You can heel toe your feet back together or leave them where they are if that's how you want them for a chair. Bend your knees. Inhale, rising up to standing nice and slow. Bring your hands up overhead. Exhale, hands together in front of the heart. Back into chair pose again. This time we're going to do 3 chair planes. Big toes touching some space between the heels or on 2 different train tracks. Inhale, lifting the hands high. Exhale, sitting back down into your chair. Wiggle your toes, lengthen the spine, pull the shoulders down the back. Take a deep breath in here. As you breathe out, sweep the hands back, bring your chest down to the knees, and maybe you can lift those heels off the ground. 2 more times with the breath. Inhale, rising up to chair. Keep your hips really low. Exhale, chair plane. Stay really strong in those legs. Maybe lift the heels up off the ground. Last one. Inhale to chair, keeping the hips down. Exhale to chair plane. Come all the way back up to standing on your next breath in. Exhale, hands together in front of the heart. If your feet are together, open them up, hip width distance apart, coming back into ragdoll. Inhale, hands high. Exhale, diving forward, keeping a nice long spine, going down. Relax your head and neck. Grab for opposite elbows and cross your arms the opposite way of how we did the last time, the awkward way. Gently rock side to side. Bend one knee and then the other. Feel your spine just waterfalling down towards the ground. Release your hands down to the ground. Weight comes to the fingers to heel to the feet back together again. Take a half lift as you breathe in. Exhale, double dip chaturanga. Plant your hands, hop or step back to your high plank. Lower down halfway, keeping the elbows right next to the ribs. Half back up, breathing in, and halfway down again as you breathe out. Up dog or cobra on your inhale. Downward facing dog on your exhale. Lift your right foot up high. Take a deep breath in. Step your foot through between your hands as you breathe out. Stay low. Bring the gaze forward. Take a deep breath in and out. On your next inhale, lift your left knee high. Arms float up overhead. Exhale, warrior 3. Send your left foot straight out behind you like you're stamping it into a wall. Arms come out wide like airplane wings. Everything except for the standing leg comes parallel to the ground. If that back leg is a little bit lower, that's okay. If you can't seem to lift it all the way up to parallel, just reaching in that direction is all right. And if it's too much, you can also just drop those toes down on the ground, giving your standing leg a chance to work on holding your weight here. Take one more big breath in here. Exhale, release your hands down to the ground. Try to lift your left foot up even higher. And then drop your left foot down on the mat behind you at a 45-degree angle. Rising up on an inhale to warrior 1. Front toes pointing straight forward, back heels all the way down on the mat. Hips squared off towards the front edge of the mat. Hands are up, pinkies turned in. Keep the shoulders sliding down the back. Humble warrior. Take a deep breath in here. Exhale, sweeping the hands behind your back. Interlace your fingers. Push down, puff up the chest. Take a big breath in. Fold forward on your breath out, hinging from the hips, leading with the chest. Find your edge. Relax your head and neck down and peel the arms off the back. Right side body can rest against the right inner thigh. On your next breath in, rise back up to warrior 1. Exhale, cartwheel the hands down, frame the front foot, and send your right heel up high on a breath in. Double dip chaturanga, breathing out. Up dog or cobra to breathe in. And downward facing dog as you exhale. Let's do that on the left. Lift your left heel high, take a big breath in. Step your foot through between your hands as you breathe out. Stay low, bring your gaze forward, take a deep breath in and out. On your next breath in, lift your right knee high, arms float up overhead. Exhale to warrior three. Arms come out wide like airplane wings. Right foot goes straight back behind you like you're stamping it into a wall. Everything comes parallel to the ground, but the standing leg. Bend your standing knee just a little bit to help with balance. And remember, if you're not perfectly parallel, that's okay. We're just reaching in that direction. Take one last big breath in. Exhale, drop your hands down to the mat. Try to lift your right foot even higher. And then drop your right foot down at a 45-degree angle, rising up on an inhale to warrior one. Hands are up, pinkies turned in, shoulders sliding down the back. Back foot is glued down to the mat, especially that pinky toe edge. Right hip pushing forward, trying to keep those hips as close as you can to being squared off towards the short end of the mat. Humble warrior, take a big breath in here. Exhale, sweep the hands back behind you. Interlace your fingers, push down, puff up your chest. Take a deep breath in. Fold forward on your exhale, hinging from the hips, leading with the chest. Nice and slow. Find your edge, relax your head and neck down, and peel the arms off the back. Letting the left side body come to rest against the left inner thigh. Don't forget to breathe. On your next inhale, rise back up to warrior one. Exhale, plant your hands down to frame the front foot. Send your left heel high as you breathe in. Double dip chaturanga, breathing out. Up dog or cobra on a breath in. And downward facing dog on your exhale. Let's take another little break here. Drop the knees down, make your way to child's pose. Remember, if child's pose is not comfortable for you, you can always rest in an alternate position on your back or belly or in a seat. Close your eyes. Let your body rest, melting into the ground here. Just feel the earth supporting you. Bring your attention back to your breath, lengthening and deepening each breath. Find your way back to a nice, strong, on your next inhale, lift your chest up, coming to hands and knees tabletop. And let's come into a side plank, little modified side plank. Bring your right foot off the mat at a 90-degree angle and roll onto the big toe side of the left foot. Keeping all the weight on the right hand, lift your left hand up to the sky. Try to bring your arms perpendicular to the floor. And let's do some leg lifts here with the breath. Inhale, lifting the left foot up the ground. Exhale, lowering it back down again. Let's try for 4 more. Inhaling to lift. Exhaling to lower. 3, 2, And last one. Release and switch sides. Plant your left hand down on the mat. Drop the left knee down and kick the left foot off the mat at a 90-degree angle. Rolling onto the big toe side of the right foot. Stretch your right hand up towards the sky, bringing the arms perpendicular to the floor. Leg lifts on this side. Inhale, lifting the right foot up. Exhale, slowly lowering it back down again. 4 more times. Go with your breath. Try to lengthen the motion to match the breath, taking your whole breath to complete each motion. 3, 2, and last one. And release. Plant your right hand back down on the mat. Come all the way down onto your belly. Another little rest here. You can stack your hands and rest your forehead on the stacked hands. Or you can rest on a cheek with your head turned to one side and wrap your hands back towards your hips with your palms facing up. Close your eyes. Notice the front side of your body pushing against the ground here and how your breath changes how the body feels against the ground. Notice how, as you breathe in, your ribs expand out to the side, your body pushes against the ground. And on your exhales, there's a gentle release of pressure. Bring your chin back to the mat. Hands come right underneath the shoulders. 3 baby cobras. Inhale, peeling just the chest up off the mat, keeping the elbows bent. Pull the chest through the shoulders. Exhale, lowering back down again, nice and slow. 2 more times with the breath. Inhale, lifting up just part of the upper body. Exhale, slowly lowering back down again. Last one, inhale to lift. Keep your elbows bent, pointing straight back. Exhale, lowering down again. Inhale, come into Sphinx pose. Lift your chest up, slide your hands forward, and drop your elbows down to the mat so your elbows come right underneath your shoulders. Pull your chest up and through the shoulders. If this is already enough, you can stay right here. If you want a little bit more stretch in the back, you can start to straighten out your elbows. Be really aware of how the lower back feels. If it feels like there's too much pressure there, just drop the elbows back down to the mat. Take one more big breath in here. Exhale, release your elbows back down. Bring your left arm out at an angle in front of you. Kick your right foot up. Reach the right hand back and pull the right foot in towards the hips. Release and switch sides. Bring your right arm down at an angle in front of you. Kicking the left foot up. Reach the left hand back and pull the foot in towards the hips. Release. Let's make our way into bow pose. Lower your chest down onto the mat. Kick both feet up. Reach both hands back and grab outside the ankles. On a breath in, lift up your knees, peeling your chest up off the mat. Keep the gaze really low on the ground in front of you, just a few inches to protect your neck. Take one more big breath in, lifting even higher. Exhale, release. If your head was turned to one side, turn it to the other side and rest on the opposite cheek. Or stack your hands and rest your forehead on your stacked hands.
Close your eyes. Bring your awareness back to the breath. Bring your chin back to the mat. Hands come right underneath the shoulders. Inhale, peeling the chest up off the mat, and make your way to a seat. Starting with Baddha Konasana, bound ankle pose. Soles of the feet come together. Knees open out wide to the sides. Interlace your fingers. You can tuck them underneath the feet or in front of the toes. Push down on the knees, lifting up on the spine. Take a deep breath in here. Exhale, folding forward over the feet, keeping the spine really long, hinging from the hips. You can open out your elbows and push the knees down with the elbows. Once you find your edge, round out through the back and relax your head and neck down. You can keep your hands on your feet here, or you can release your feet and start to crawl the fingertips forward, stretching out through the arms. On your next inhale, lift your chest up. Bring the knees together. Plant your feet on the ground, knees pointing up towards the sky. Hands come behind you, fingers pointing towards the hips. Gently windshield wiper the knees side to side, releasing the hips. And come onto your back. Hug the knees into the chest. Wrap your arms around your legs. Take a deep breath in. Exhale, lifting your forehead up to your knees. Curl into a tight little ball, squeezing everything together. Release your head back down to the mat. Bring your hands to your kneecaps and do some gentle circles in the sky with the knees, giving your lower back a little massage on the ground. And find circles going the other way. Drop your feet down to the mat, knees pointing up towards the sky, coming into a bridge pose here. Let's bring our hands up overhead, stretching the fingers up. 3 bridge poses with the breath. As you breathe in, lift your hips up, rooting down through the feet, pushing the hips toward the sky, stretching out the belly. Exhale, slowly lowering back down to the mat, one vertebrae at a time. Really gradually releasing. 2 more times, going with the breath, inhaling to lift the hips up. Exhale, releasing back down, one vertebrae at a time, nice and slow. And last one, inhale to lift. Exhale, gently lowering back down. Bring your hands back to your sides, coming into a supine pigeon pose here. Lift your right foot up and cross the right ankle over the left knee. With your right hand, you can either push the right knee away, or you can reach your right hand in between the legs and the left arm around the outside. Interlace your fingers either outside of that left leg or in the crease of the left knee. Pull the legs in towards the chest, push the tailbone back down flat on the mat, flex your toes to protect your knees.
Feel opposite forces working on the hip here. Maybe you feel a nice stretch on the back of that right hip. And release and switch sides. Left foot crosses over the right knee. Left hand can either push that left knee away or reach in between the legs. Right arm around the outside. Interlace your fingers outside of the right knee or inside the crease of the right knee. Pull the legs in towards the chest. Push the tailbone back down flat on the mat. Flex your toes to protect your knee. And release your feet. Coming back into a bridge pose. This time we're going to hold it. Plant your hands flat on the mat so that your middle fingers are touching the backs of the heels. Or you can, if your feet are much closer in and you feel like there's not enough space there, you can have your hands right next to the feet. On a breath in, pushing down through the feet, lift your hips up to the sky. Once you've got your hips up, interlace your fingers underneath the hips and then start to scoot the shoulders closer together to lift the hips even higher. Stay really strong in the legs. I'm just going to stay here for a couple breaths. Take one more deep breath in, pushing even higher. And release one vertebrae at a time as you breathe out. One more time, draw your knees into your chest, wrap your arms around your legs. Take a deep breath in. Exhale, lifting the forehead up to the knees, curl into a tight little ball, squeeze everything together. Release your head back down to the mat. Open out your arms wide in a T and float your legs in a 90-degree tabletop. Take a big breath in here. Exhale, dropping the knees down together to the right, all the way to the ground. Try to keep that 90-degree angle in the knees and hips. If your knees are popping up off the ground, you can tuck the right fingers inside the crease of the left knee to help them stay down, and then bring the gaze over to the left hand to complete your twist. Release your right hand back out to the side. Lift your knees up to center, breathing in. Exhale, dropping them down towards the left, trying to keep that 90-degree angle in the knees and hips. Left fingers can tuck inside the crease of the right knee to help the legs stay down, and bring the gaze over to the right hand. Release your left hand back out to the side. Lift your knees up to center, breathing in. And release into Shavasana. You can take a traditional Shavasana with your legs flat on the ground or bring your feet into easy pose. Wherever you're most comfortable, lift your chest up. Snuggle the shoulder blades down the back a little bit more. Bring the chin into the chest and rock the head side to side, letting your head fall back to its natural center point. Release your body. Imagine you feel yourself melting into the ground. If it's helpful, you can do another quick body scan here, just checking to see if you're holding any tension in any of your muscles. And let those muscles release if you find any. Release your breath.
returning back to natural breathing. And release your mind, just watching your thoughts come and go like the ocean waves. You see them coming in and then they fall back into the ocean and disappear to be replaced by something new. Find a few moments of stillness to complete your practice today. Blink your eyes open and start to make your way back up to a seat. Thank you so much for joining me today for yoga. Namaste.